Ladies and gents, one more Rex, and this is top 5 most insane orcs in Warhammer 40k lore by the term majorkill. It's about Warhammer and orcs. What more could you want? Yeah. Why is it that, right? In Warhammer, why is it that orcs are the, there are so many ridiculous talk, but when you see orcs, they're like, I must watch this. It's about orcs. They are like, they feel like, comic relief character, right? How they're portrayed. And if anything, they're the only wholesome in Warhammer because they like fighting. They like war, right? And they're doing what they like, right? They even respect you if you're good enough, even if you're the enemy. How could you not like that? There are orc guards apparently. I don't think I ever watched any video about that, but I'm gonna find it from Lutin or Major or whatever. But yeah, right now most insane orcs. Yeah, so lots of these would have created some kind of wow or something. Otherwise, why would they be in top 5? But let's watch it. Remember to like my Rex and don't forget to subscribe. I love Warhammer universe. Apparently this is Warhammer Fantasy 2, which I think I watched somewhat here and there. Only reason I know that is from the game Total War. But I mostly like Warhammer 40k because I like how deep it is, how large it is, and how it's constantly get updated, which is fun. So let's watch this one.
Guys and gal, it's no secret the Games Workshop loves Space Marines above all else. They have literally hundreds of named characters split across the legions and chapters, dozens of those named characters having tabletop models themselves. The Orks, on the other hand, have Gazkal and pretty much just Gazkal when it comes to tabletop's named characters. Okay. It's an absolute tragedy since Orc players are known to be by far the coolest people, and I don't play Orcs. Now I know they have very recently released 2 new Orc characters, bringing the grand total to 3. Wow. But there are plenty of really awesome Orcs in the lore of 40k, and if GW won't give them the respect of a tabletop model, then at least I can give them the respect of a spotlight for the next 10 minutes or so. Speaking of legendary Orcs with tabletop models, GW loves Astartes, Space Marines, because they are kind of the center of it all. They're supposed to be in this story of Warhammer 40k. But whenever we see any kind of protagonist type of characters or any group of people that's supposed to be the center of the story, they always have somewhat underwhelming element to them. They're supposed to be underdogs or something. They have potential to be better, something like that. In Warhammer 40k, nothing can be perfect than Space Marines. And they're supposed to be the center of everything. They're supposed to fight for the Imperium. They're supposed to be everything. Everything else is around that, right? They are supposed to be the meat of the Imperium, gene seed from the Emperor or whatever. And they are kind of OP. I think Major Kill made a video that I reacted to. I guess he explained that, how they're supposed to be really OP, considering everything. Models, the latest and probably my favorite so far major mini is out, the Orc Demon Killer. This was a joy to produce, slapping on numerous battle trophies as literal armor, while still showing that despite technically being in service to the Blood God, the Orc Demon Killer is just as patriotic to Gork and Mork as he's ever been. Despite, the subtle changes his corrupted body is going through. While he isn't massive, he does scale larger than Orc boys and knobs as befitting his status as a legendary war boss. His proportions line up more with the new Orc models rather than the older, goofier ones. His base is also custom, featuring a large demon skull as well as volcanic glass. Overall, very appropriate to his vibe. So if you wanted to get your very own Orc Demon Killer for your army, or you just want an awesome unique new model to paint, then link is below to pick this bad boy up. Remember, shipping is free on all orders over $70 US, so why not pick a few other models while you're there, like the King Orc for example. Today we'll go over the lore of the 5 best Orcs in 40k lore that are relatively unknown or don't have a tabletop model, hopefully showing off that the Orcs have more than just Gazkal swinging for them. Let's get into it. There's no point beating around the bush with this one. The first Orc out of the 5 today is probably pretty recognizable. Tuska Demon Killer, the war boss that decided to yeet his wire into the realms of chaos because he thought fighting demons was fun. Now generally yeeting into hell is a very bad idea, and almost always results in instant insanity, demonic possession, and all-round bad times. But Orcs didn't get the memo. Their brains aren't too worried about petty stupid things like going mad. So Tuska and his army were
You starting with this? Oh my god, I'm gonna
An orc thought, this is all too simplistic. I'm gonna go to chaos, warp, hell, whatever, and I'm gonna start killing demons because that's more fun than to kill space marines and shit. And he actually liked it. He was having fun rather than going crazy. This is too good. This is too fucking
able
good.
to tear through and sack multiple demon worlds, getting Khorne's direct attention in the process. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Tusker started off as any other war boss, in command of a ship with an okay army looking for a good scrap.
Khorne is like, I like war, I like battle, I like blood. And the orc like, yeah, me too.
He was somewhat famous amongst orcs, known for his obsession with fighting enemies that were bigger and scarier than he, which isn't exactly a unique orc trait, but you'll see what I mean. During warp transit, a big-ass demon got aboard Tusker's ship and started tearing through his boys. It's not clear what kind of demon it was, but it was pretty gnarly. Tusker, with a massive stiffy for battle, charged the demon and the two punched on, with Tusker Mortal Kombating that bitch with his power claw, killing the demon and claiming its horns as his trophy. See, this was a bit unusual, as most demon bodies would vanish after being slain. However, Tusker was able to keep an aspect of their body to have as a trophy, likely using his Wah energy to prevent them from being properly banished. Hence, Tusker is one of the few people in the galaxy that can actually mount demon skulls on his trophy rack. With such a good fight, Tusker had a epiphany. Killing demons was a fucking vibe. So using a shitload of weird boys, his orc psychers, Tusker was able to bypass the Cadian Gate and Leroy Jenkins into the Eye of Terror. The Imperium was surprised but didn't see much point in trying to
I'm just imagining him screaming, Leroy Jenkins is just running inside.
stop two of their enemies from fighting, so Tusker didn't have too much drama getting into the Eye. In the Eye, he burnt Nurglite Swamp Worlds, shattered Titsanichi Crystal Worlds, and cocked Block Slaneshi Slut Worlds. It was only when Tusker arrived at a Khornite world did he meet his match. Against him was a large Khornite army led by the Blood Prince, an exalted demon prince of Khorne. Now Tusker was a G. He was tough, strong, and had put in a good shift. But despite his determination, the Blood Prince was too good. As Tusker lay dying, his remaining weird boys were able to distract the Blood Prince, allowing Tusker to literally slice off the Blood Prince's cock and balls with his power claw, a final solid gag before Tusker expired. Khorne was like, holy shit, that was fucking—
What? First of all, I was like looking surprised, like, did he just, is he going to tell me this orc killed Khorne's demon prince or whatever? They're supposed to be like lieutenant of the, the chaos guards, like they're supposed to be as powerful can be, I guess, something like that. And did he kill it? No, of course he didn't. But that's so badass, right? I mean, he actually fought this demon prince or whatever, put up an immense fight that I'm guessing, like he's saying here, that even Khorne was, taking interest or something, right? And he was killing demons. Like, if you go into Chaos War, demons are supposed to be, gigantic demons are supposed to be really hard to kill, right? You need multiple space marines and shit like that. This orc was killing them all by himself. This is ridiculous.
Awesome, and decided to revive Tusker and his armies to fight the Khornite demons again. Day after day, Tusker and his boys were overjoyed to fight and die. It wasn't like some Dormammu time loop bullshit. Tusker remained his memory of each death, yet he didn't care. After countless reincarnations, Khorne was so impressed that they still had the will to fight that he teleported them from the demon world straight into his realm, so that they may do battle every single day in front of his brass citadel. It's rare to get that level of respect from Khorne, especially from an orc that still praises Gork and Mork. Now you know why I made the Orc Demon Killer. What makes an orc orky? Well,
I'm not gonna lie, that's the best fucking lore I've seen of all time. Why nobody's talking about this more? Why isn't GW ignoring this shit? Because that's some next level shit. Khorne is like, look at that dude. I mean, imagine that. An actual chaos god took interest in you directly because you just like fighting and killing all the time. And he was playing Unreal Tournament or something. Every time he kills, he dies and respawns or something. This is so good.
It's all about having fun and doing really whack shit. Like how Warlord Grizzguts traveled back in time and killed his past self in order to get a copy of his own favorite gun, not stopping for a second to worry about the consequences to that kind of action. And boy, were there consequences. Let me explain. Grizzguts was a competent and vicious orc, leading a large war that was about to devastate Imperial space. However, while commencing his warp jump, something extremely rare happened. He, along with his war, travelled back in time and appeared where they had entered the warp, coming face to face with a past copy of himself and his entire past war. So now there were two Grizzguts and two wars. This is extremely rare. Seeing the past and future is pretty common in 40k, but actually travelling between the two is not. Usually it takes literal god power to do it, but Grizguts managed it by mistake. Seeing that his past self had his favourite shooter, and that all orcs love as much Dakar as possible, Grizguts killed his past self, taking the second copy of his gun as well as doubling his wire's size. However, the orcs within the wire were so rattled by what had just happened, and weren't too comfortable hanging out with themselves. It got to a point that the wire erupted into civil war, destroying itself in the process and saving countless lives that would have been devastated by the double wire. It's unclear what happened to Grizguts, as I don't think he's been mentioned since, but it's more than likely he died alongside his wire, dual wielding his gun like a boss. If you were ordered to bring down an enemy titan by yourself, 1 million out of a million.
Okay, so there are no paradoxes. How can he kill his older version? If he does that, then his older version didn't go to the portal or whatever, warp or something. So how would he be there in the first place? There are no paradoxes in Warhammer.
Million times, you would fail. It's one of the few things that are a genuine 0% success rate, as you would have to somehow penetrate the Titan's void shield, armor plating, and then get inside and kill its crew, all the while the Titan is trying to murk you. Good luck, mate. However, for Ulthak, this was to be his moment of glory. While attacking an Imperial world, the Bad Moon's boss Ulthak, fighting under the banner of Demeklord's Tekwa, was faced with some resistance in the form of 4 enemy Titans. Now, the Orks did have a Mega Gargant to even the odds, but Mega Gargants aren't exactly known for their maneuverability, hence the Imperial Titans were able to strafe it and dodge and weave out of its main fire. This was unacceptable. What the fuck is the point of a Titan if you use it to dodge? Now, a quick note, Ulthak wasn't some random orc we had just met. He had gone through some shit on the way to the world. Old mate had just managed to smash a Castellan robot apart, with the subsequent explosion ripping him open. However, he was a true git, and respected by his orc brethren. An orc pain doc cut off his head and stuck it onto his old boss's body, making him more powerful. Reattaching decapitated orc heads to larger bodies to shortcut their way through bodybuilding is a very good strategy with the orcs, and something that has been used multiple times now. Ulthak was back and better than ever. However, this does bring us to our Titan conundrum. Ulthak possessed something of an imagination, and if there's anything we know about orcs, it's that their imaginations can be quite powerful. So grabbing a fellow orc and a squig, he stole an orc motorbike off a rival orc along with that orc's Gretchen before full throttling towards the enemy warlord Titan. Now, this wasn't just any orc motorbike. It had like a mini warp drive on it that meant that upon pushing a big red button, it would briefly transition into the warp and reappear further up the road, like a mini teleport, similar to what the Eldar warp spiders do. The orcs reappeared directly in front of the Imperial Warlord Titan, and with the speed of the bike, the effects of the warp spaghetti, and some good old-fashioned War energy, they breached the Titan's void shields and smacked onto its armored hull. Miraculously, both orcs, the Gretchen, and the squid survived the impact unharmed. They cut their way through the Titan's eyes, which placed them directly in its command center. From here, they massacred the crew, including the Moriarty, Princeps, and the Tech Priest in pretty comical.
Okay, hold up there. This orc took a bike, literally warped, skipped, places by warp, right? Gone through the eye of the Titan and kill everybody inside the command, whoever controls the Titan. That's some next level shit, right? This just shows you if orcs really actually have this kind of a drive to do something, which kind of doesn't make sense, like orcs just want to fight. But if they have some drive and they realize that their imagination can be really powerful, imagine how dangerous orcs would be, right? You'd hear stories like this orc uses imagination and did this. It's just like some instances here and there, because collectively all orcs don't just have this kind of drive. Imagine if Imperium had this kind of power, right? You can just imagine things into, will into existence or something. How deadly Imperium would be. But orcs just don't care. They maybe use it, they maybe not, whatever.
Fashion. Like the squig was trying to eat the Gretchen but missed and accidentally ate the Princeps' head instead. After fucking around a bit, the Titan tipped over and the small band of orcs jumped out, charging once again at Imperial forces. Absolute beasts. Funnily enough, this wasn't the only time in the lore that an especially exciting
Imagine that. All these Imperium forces just fighting and they see their Titan warlord just, collapsing with a massive thud and the orcs jump out of its, head or whatever. How afraid would you be at that point?
Orc managed to take down a Titan by itself. Wazdaka Gutsmech also managed it. Wazdaka is a legend amongst Orcs, the greatest Orc bike boy to ever live, as he drives around his obscenely modified war bike that has the stopping power of a tank. Although he was already a legend enough to form his own Wa made entirely of bike boys and speed freaks, his name would be immortalized on the world of Skalex 6. His army was getting shredded by a warlord Titan, with their low caliber bullets unable to do a dent. So Wazdaka was like Leroy Jenkins and drove his bike full speed at the Titan's head. Now his bike didn't have a warp drive, so he hit that void shield like a motherfucker head on, somehow managing to penetrate it and the armor beneath, setting himself ablaze as he quickly massacred any crew who would survive the initial impact. Now void shields can withstand shit like volcanoes.
I mean, I'm just hearing Metallica's song in the background while he's riding his bike and going through the Titan. This is so good.
Cannons. So how did an Orc bike break through it and the armor beneath it? Unclear, but when it comes to Orcs, the how isn't very relevant. The final Orc worth talking about is none other than the Beast. This is a very random part of 40k lore, where the Orcs somehow emerged as the galaxy's greatest threat and literally had the Imperium at its mercy, all because of some hectic Prime Orc, a demi-Krork called the Beast, which popped out of nowhere and was so powerful that his Wa energy was able to ascend the entire Orc population multiple tiers up the intelligence tree. They started farming, using diplomacy, and had literal fucking teleporting attack moons. The entire Imperial Fist chapter was killed during the War of the Beast, and even Vulcan, the strongest Primarch, wasn't able to cleanly slay the Beast, instead having to tackle it into a vat of pure Wa energy, which annihilated both of them. It's often theorized that the reason why the Emperor was so desperate to rush the Great Crusade was because he wanted to be ready to take on the Beast. After all, the Imperium only ended up beating the Beasts, and I mean beasts, because there was actually like 12 of them, because of some wacky reverse Wa bullshit. In a straight up war, the Imperium had zero chance and would have struggled even with a united Imperium with its legions and Primarchs intact.
Really?
Overall, a very bizarre time. However, the Beast was no joke, and I find it pretty funny how most people don't seem to know of or speak about the most powerful Orc to ever live in the past 60 million years. Orcs deserve more love, and this comes from a guy that is never going to paint an Orc army in my life. The one on my shelf behind me was bought off a mate. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Orc Demon Killer, and if you haven't...
Okay, you gotta be shitting me right now. So the Emperor united his whole Imperium in 31st millennia. I think that's what he's talking about, right? And then, only then they had the chance to beat the Beast or whatever that was. Krok, that big gigantic Orc, right? So that Orc was so deadly that even emperors, like even my power is not enough. I need my whole Imperium, Primarchs and everybody. That just puts Orc in my head at least at a whole another level. Like if Orcs won, they could fuck everything up. Because imagine that, right? 31st millennia Imperium with the Emperor at its head. Right now, if that would be the thing, right? They would dominate the whole universe. There's a reason why Chaos panicked and did this heresy shit. And even they are like, the Beast is too much. God damn. Alright, well, that was top 5 most insane Orcs in Warhammer 40k lore by the channel Major Kill. If you like my next, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.